All right, everybody. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well on this Wednesday. And we're going to continue our look at some of the really bad teams in the NFL and see what they might be willing to trade. Talking about trade deadline stuff. And this video, we're going to talk about the New York Giants. We're going to focus on the Giants, who are 2-6. They've lost Malik Neighbors for the season. They've lost Cam Scatabo for the season. There's not a lot of hope. There's not a lot of optimism that that team can turn it around. There was a brief moment where they thought maybe, but no, that's not happening anymore. And beyond that, I think there is a general assumption that this team is going to clean house this offseason. So a lot of these guys that are currently on the team are about to be potentially under a regime that has no loyalty to them. So there will probably be an effort to get assets in terms of draft picks while they can. Be right back. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you guys about Sleeper. I'll tell you a little secret as well. It's more than just a platform for fantasy leagues. This year, millions of users have enjoyed playing fantasy sports on Sleeper, but there's so much more to it. You have live stats, real-time updates of all stats. You have a news feed with lightning-fast updates on players and teams, and a real-time chat where you can engage with other users about plays, performances, games, all kinds of stuff during the sports season. So download Sleeper, experience it for yourself, and don't forget to use my promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit, and pair that with their new promo that will give you a free $20 entry, no deposit needed. So you can use both of those promos. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and going. So check out Sleeper today and use those promos. All right, welcome back. So there isn't a lot on the Giants offense that I'm interested in personally. I did briefly flirt with the idea of trading for Russell Wilson just to sit him on the bench and make it so he can't get traded anywhere else where he can go play because he's disgracing his legacy. And trading for him and holding him on the bench would at least prevent him from doing that anymore. But on a more serious note, there's really not a lot going on here. There are two guys offensively that I think could actually help this team, and only really one of them would help this team right now. The other guy's a pure project. But let's go through the options. This first guy, very, very highly touted coming out of the draft. He's been a disappointment so far, but he's not been bad so far this year. And I do think he would be an upgrade over what we have right now. So let's talk about Michael-Schmitz just a little bit here as a trade option. He was really, really bad a couple years ago for the Giants. As a rookie, he was really disappointing. But over the last couple years, he's been tolerable. And I do think that if you're looking at Schmitz right now, you'd say he's about an average center, and he's relatively young, so maybe he can get a little bit better. He's 26. I don't know how much better I expect him to get, but at the very least, he's playable, and he's somewhere around average if I had to estimate. And I do think he's better than what we have. And he is a little bit of a blue chip pedigree. He was a second round pick as a center. You don't see that every day. The contract is pretty tradable because he was a second round pick. If the Giants traded him, they'd have to eat some dead money on the signing bonus, but it would be relatively cheap. And you would inherit not very much money because of the paychecks he's already gotten from the Giants. And then next year, you're inheriting the 1.6 million, which is almost certainly going to be worth it. So you don't have to worry about extending him until next year, and probably not even until the season after that. I don't think this guy's played well enough to warrant an early extension, so you're probably getting him super cheap this year, super cheap next year, and then you can make a decision. I do think you'd have to give up something pretty decent to get him. You're probably looking at, like, I'd say at least a fifth round pick. I don't think you get him for free, maybe even a fourth, but something in that realm I think makes sense. And I could see the Giants doing this because they're probably not thinking about extending him either. They're probably aware that this guy isn't going to help them win right now because they're a little ways away from being able to be a good team. And they also know that he's been kind of a disappointment so far. The only other guy on this offense that I think you can even play with would be Evan Neal. And you're not trading for Evan Neal to help you right now. You're trading for him as a project to try to clean up and get something out of next year. And that may not be something the Seahawks want to mess with right now. Um, I will say last year, which was the last time Evan Neal played, Evan Neal hasn't played this year, but last year when he played, there was some growth. We did see some improvement, but he's still a miserable pass protector. Honestly, it's a little Anthony Bradford like, right? Because Anthony Bradford's an okay run blocker, but he can't pass protect. Evan Neal kind of did the same thing. This guy's a former tackle, tried to move to guard to improve, and it really didn't help him. This guy's put some real lowlights out there, but top 10 pedigree, superstar in college at Alabama. There is going to be somebody out there that looks at him and goes, I can fix that. And maybe the Seahawks would be that team. I don't know. Now, the issue is the contract is notable because he was a top 10 pick. It's not a ton of money, it's more money than you would like. So the Giants obviously owe him a signing bonus still this year, but if you're the Seahawks, you have to think about the base, which is low. But then you also have the roster bonus, which I believe the Seahawks would inherit at least some of. So you're still talking about paying him a couple $1,000,000 for the rest of the season. And then he's a free agent in the offseason. I I don't think there's much here. Like if you want this guy, just sign him in the offseason when he's a free agent. You don't need to trade for him right now. I don't think an extra few months on this team is going to allow him to develop into a good player to where you feel like, oh, we're going to give this guy a contract extension and he's going to be good for us next year. So I wanted to talk about that for a minute because I know some people talk about Evan Neal as a trade target, but I I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense. He's not going to be able to help us right now. He can't even start on the Giants, right? Like, look at this Giants offensive line. They got Andrew Thomas, not much else. I mean, Schmitz is a blue chipper, but he hasn't been great. And Evan Neal still can't start for this group. Okay, defensively, um, there is some stuff here that is interesting. I'm not going to talk about Brian Burns because I think he's playing a little too good right now. I don't think that you can trade for him. I just think that even a team in the position of the Giants is going to look at him and go, we can't give that guy up. He's playing at too high of a level. So I'm not going to get into that. I will, however, talk about another superstar player briefly, Dexter Lawrence, because people are going to ask. And look, Dexter Lawrence, you get this guy, you are coasting. You are coasting on defense to that number one ranking. You should become a Super Bowl favorite at that point, right? Dexter Lawrence, about to turn 28, big time stud, 3-time Pro Bowler, made All Pro second team a couple times, had 9 sacks last year despite playing a non trivial number of his snaps at nose tackle. He fills that nose tackle need. I mean, he would be everything to this team. He is an incredible player. He would have had double-digit sacks last year if he didn't miss 5 games easily. And the reason why I bring him up is because he has not really played that well so far this year. Some Giants fans have been a little bit antsy about him. They've been disappointed. They don't think he's pulling his weight. He only has half a sack this year. I could maybe see a scenario where he's just kind of sick of this organization that he's been a part of since 2019 that has done nothing but fail and lose. Maybe there's something like that going on here. So, unlike Brian Burns, who is playing extremely well right now, I could see some scenario where the Giants see Dexter Lawrence as a guy who needs a change of scenery. So I think this one is at least worth talking about, even though I still doubt anything happens. I still think that he's probably a little too good to be moved. But there are some things at play here that are not at play for a guy like Burns. So Dexter Lawrence, he signed a big contract extension, but that contract is now a couple years old. He's about halfway through it. You can see that if they trade him now, there are dead cap hits, but they aren't massive. They're much smaller than the cap hits on having him. So if you're the Giants and you're like, we're several years away, and we also understand that we're going to clean house this offseason anyway, I think that you would consider giving up Dexter Lawrence because it's not going to cost you a ridiculous amount of money. Got dead cap hits of 7 million over the next few years to think about. Okay. You can juggle that if you need to. And you are probably looking at giving up a lot. Don't get me wrong. You are giving up a lot for Dexter Lawrence. even with his depressed production so far this year, I imagine you're looking at minimum second round pick, probably more. I don't think it would be over the top like Micah Parsons level because, again, he isn't playing that well and he is playing a less valued position and he is a little bit older, but you're still looking at least what you gave up for Leonard Williams a couple years ago. Like Dexter Lawrence is probably worth a little bit more than Leonard Williams was at that point in time. What he offers is just so unique in this league right now. So this is kind of one of the big swings that you could take. I don't know if you would get your money's worth out of it because he would be competing for snaps with guys like Big Cat, Murphy. Like the rotation at a certain point, there is a little bit of a diminishing return there, but it is fun to think about. And this would be one of the big swings I'd be willing to take. Next guy is Bobby Okereke, outside linebacker or inside linebacker, whatever. 29 years old, been in the league a while. Formerly a Colt, been a Giant for the last couple years. He's a good player. Been a productive linebacker in this league for some time now. The issue is mostly he plays inside linebacker. We're looking for a will, but I did go through on Pro Football Focus. There have been a few games over the years where he's played at will. There have been a few games where he's been designated as the will linebacker, and he's a little bit of a lighter guy, and he's not super old, so I think he can do it. So again, we're looking for somebody to push. Drake Thomas. If you think I'm sorry, let me get this right. Okereke is the guy who can do that. There might be something here. And he's in the third year of a 4-year deal. There's some dead money if the Giants want to move off of him, but not more than the cap hits, right? You are saving $9 million next year. You are saving several $1,000,000 this year. And again, he's probably a guy that you're looking at and going, he's not going to be part of the next time the Giants are good because this year is what it is. Next year, I mean, you're probably already thinking like next year's kind of a little bit of a lost year for Malik Neighbors when he gets back because he's going to be recovering from the big ACL tear. So maybe you're like, okay, next year's kind of shot too. Let's just move on from a guy like this who's going to be in a contract year next year, and I doubt we keep him past this year. So maybe it's not a bad idea. This is a pretty reasonable contract. We don't inherit a ton of money. It could work. Next guy is Kayvon Thibodeaux, another former top 10 pick, a top 5 pick actually. Edge rusher, hasn't even turned 25 yet. Superstar in college. Showed real signs of starting to break into superstardom in 2023. 11 and a half sacks. Looked like things were headed in the right direction for him. Since then, it's been a little disappointing. Last year, he didn't produce as much as the Giants were hoping. This year, his pass rush his quarterback hitting production hasn't been stellar. He's been better against the run, though. He's been a better all-around player. We are seeing some indications that he's starting to become like a complete NFL player, even if he's not necessarily a superstar like people were hoping. And I think there's reason to believe that on a better team in a better situation with better coaching, he could probably be a pretty decent player. So I think there's going to be interest here. And because he is in the last year of a deal that has any guarantees on it, you're not going to be looking at a huge expenditure to get him. Like, okay, the base salary for this year is 1.1. You've got a roster bonus of less than 4. So obviously the Giants are on the hook for the 5 million signing bonus. They're going to be on the hook for about little less than half of the base and roster bonus, I believe. But the Seahawks would inherit like 2.5 to 3 million this year. And then we inherit the base salary next year, which is almost 15, which is a lot, but it's all non-guaranteed. You could trade for him, get him for the rest of this year, say, okay, we're going to get a nice rotational edge rusher for a couple $1,000,000, and then next year we cut him, unless he balls out, I guess. But next year you cut him, and you don't have to worry about any dead money because it's all base. And it works out fairly well. It is theoretically on the table. So that's probably like, it's probably going to be one of those like Kayvon and a 7th for a 6th. The Giants will be happy just to get anything for him and to save a little bit of money, I think, at this point. I don't know how thrilled they are about the fact that they have the 5th-year option picked up anyway, so they might want to get out of that. Oh, and by the way, I didn't mention anything with Bobby here, but I imagine this would be like a 5th or a 6th. I don't think you'd have to give up too much. I think the Giants would just be happy to save money and offload and get anything. One final guy for this video, Cordell Flott. Cordell Flott. A couple of Seahawks fans have been talking about this guy. He had a big play against the Eagles several weeks ago that put him on the radar a little bit, but he's in the last year of his deal. He's only 24, but I don't think the Giants are chomping at the bit to keep him. Former third-round pick. Been reasonably productive in his career. Not stellar, just decent. But there is something that he has to offer here. He can play on the outside for you. He's a little bit of a bigger guy. And I think that if you're trying to add cornerback depth, this is the kind of guy you want to go after. Because again, he's got 1 year left on his deal. There's very little signing bonus, so the Giants are on the hook for very little dead money. Obviously, they've already paid him a lot of his game checks for this year, but you're saving about, what, close to $2 million, a little less than $2 million in base, something like that. Like, that might be worth it. That might be acceptable. That might be something the Giants want to pursue. And again, you're losing him for nothing next offseason in all likelihood. So even like Cordell Flott for a 6th-round pick would be great. You might even do that whole 6th-round pick for Cordell Flott and a 7th. And you're just happy to get something, and you're happy to save a little bit of money. So I don't think it would cost a lot, but I think you're going to get a player that can help you win a little bit. All right, that's it for the Giants. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys think I missed anything. There are other players of note here, guys like Deonte Banks or Drew Phillips if you want to try a reclamation project. Tyler Nubbin, I don't think has been very good for them. I don't think you'd want to trade for that guy. He's not playing well enough. They don't really have much else in the skill position area that I think is worth trading for, but there are quite a few things here that I think are worth contacting the Giants over. So let me know down below. See you guys later. Go Hawks. And more stuff coming later, but we're starting to run out of really bad teams here. So everyone, have a great rest of your Wednesday.